It would seem as though.
Hi.
Hi. Oh my God. Here we are. We are here.
Another week.
Another week. Another day. Another 50 cent.
Yes, girl. 50 cent.
I know. Probably not even
Quarter?
that much.
Yeah.
Probably not even
Yeah,
that much.
no, huh?
Another day. Another nickel.
If that. Yeah,
If
girl.
that. If that. Well, I know I'm not working today because, well, it's Tuesday and this is all I do on Tuesday. This and house
And
stuff.
watch TV.
And watch TV,
Yes,
yeah.
girl.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's the most important thing. Sometimes I watch TV like I'm one of the Nielsen rating people getting paid to watch TV.
Really?
Yeah. It's like, I better watch at least 7 more hours today of television.
Yeah. I need to make that dollar. Get those.
I know. Welcome to another week of it. I was going to start right into talking about shit, and I'm like, I probably should tell people what they're listening to. Like, they don't know.
Yeah.
They clicked on it. They know what they're listening to. Welcome to another week of It Would Seem As Though, the podcast where we talk about anything, everything, and nothing.
Mostly nothing.
I'm Vesta.
I'm Annika.
And this is the cat and the dog, and we're in
Yeah.
our animal friendly studio.
I know, that cat's like, girl.
She's giving me the stare of
you
death.
talking
like,
to me now?
yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'm not talking to you. I'm talking about you. It's very different.
Yeah, actually, yes.
That is also one of my favorite things to say to people is I was neither talking to nor about you.
Uh-huh.
So,
I love to say, I wasn't talking to you. I was talking about you.
yes, I love that one too.
Yeah.
But I like it even better when I can say I was neither talking to nor about you.
I love
So,
that. Yeah.
So shut it.
Do you say that often to your
Shut
children?
it. Sometimes.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, my daughter who believes that she's a main character in everything.
Yeah. Well,
But now she even gets to where like my phone makes noise. Who's calling you? Who's texting you? What are you talking about?
Yeah.
What? It's none of your business.
Let me tell you one thing that drives me crazy is we'll be having a conversation at dinner or whatever, and Parker and Grace will be doing something, having a conversation, or they're at the table just not paying attention, and then they go, "What? Wait, what? What?" And I'm all, "No, motherfucker. You want to be a part of this conversation? Then you listen to this conversation."
I get that some buzzword that just happened caught your interest, and
Yeah.
now you're interested.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, because I remember being a little kid at the adult table, just being like, absorbing.
Oh, same.
Yeah, girl.
Same. I mean, my generation of children, we were absolutely not welcome at the adults table, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, because we would go to visit my grandparents, which really meant visiting my grandmother because my grandpa's a douche. Nobody wanted to visit him.
Sure, yeah.
But my mother and my grandmother would sit and play Yahtzee and talk and gossip and whatever. And I was allowed to sit at the table.
Yeah.
I wasn't allowed to be an active part of the conversation.
Sure.
Because it was adult time, but they, deigned to let me be there, which was cool because I don't like kids, so I certainly didn't want to hang out with them.
No.
So, but I realized that as time has gone on, those kind of barriers have become much more narrow, that most people now kind of allow their kids or include their kids and shit, whereas, like, it wasn't really a thing. But,
no, totally. And, I mean, same. I was kind of always, I think because I was younger, like, on... my bio mom side of the family, I am the youngest one by, like, a decade. So by that point, they were all, who the fuck cares? You know what I mean? We've raised our kids. Who cares what she's doing? Like, let her sit here. And that was mostly it. Who else was I going to play with?
Right.
You know what I mean? I was a child and they were all teenagers. Like, it wasn't going to work out. But that was my favorite pastime, being around adults.
Plus, you were so damn adorable. How can anybody say no?
Honestly, tell me about it. And painfully shy. So I just sat there quietly. Absorbing.
With your giant eyes.
My giant green eyes.
Yeah.
Don't miss a fucking thing, girl.
Nothing.
Nuh-uh.
Not a thing. That was one of the things when you were a kid that I always thought was so kind of amazing, is that you didn't say much, but didn't miss anything.
No, ma'am.
It was like, even you'd be like, boom, 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 boom. You tell me some stuff, I'd be like, what?
How the hell do you know that?
How do you know that? I hear everything.
I know everything. Yeah, exactly.
Probably more than a child your age should have even known.
Oh, absolutely.
Because there was some shit in there that you should have never heard.
I remember being young and telling Grandma, like, things that me and my sisters had heard, or we knew what they were, like, in detail. And Grandma was like, I didn't know what that was until I was a full-grown adult, like, in my 30s with children.
Yeah.
Like, and I was all, oh, well, I have inappropriate parents. Like, I don't know what to tell you. You know what I mean? Sorry.
Yes, but, to that point of your grandma not knowing things, and I don't remember if we ever talked about on here.
Yeah.
But my freshman year of high school, my sister was a senior. Mm-hmm. And they had senior switch day or swap day where your parent could come.
Yeah, okay.
And so my
That's
mother
so weird.
swapped places with my sister. But my sister and I were in the same biology class. And it happened to be the day they were talking about...
So did Tracy go to school that day or no?
No.
Interesting.
So your parent went for you,
So
which
silly.
it was a goofy thing instead of just
yeah.
senior skip day.
Yeah.
And so, but it worked out well because it was the day they taught about how the female reproductive organs actually work. What they do,
Christ.
how, why
yeah.
you have a period.
Yeah.
And how that whole process worked. My mother learned that day how that all worked. She had 6 children at this point.
At that point, if you're in high school...
yeah. Well, and I'm a freshman in high school, so I'm 14.
Damn.
And my oldest brother has graduated high school. My sister's about to graduate high school. And she's just learning that day why and how you have a period.
That's bonkers.
I'm all, wait, what?
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 Yeah.
So if I'm 14,
Yeah.
she's 36.
See?
Yeah.
Shit's crazy. Like, that's
You
bonkers.
imagine she was just about your age and had 6 children.
And didn't know.
1 who graduated high school and 3... No, imagine being your age and having a child who graduated high school and 3 in high school.
No, I would be institutionalized or in prison. There's one or the other. But I, in college I learned, taking feminism classes, we learned a lot about women in feminism. But also, when it came to talk about menstruation, girls, up until, today even, it's still really hit and miss what parents teach their children or what children learn. But back in the day, women would be like, oh, it's your monthly, here's some gauze, or whatever it was.
Right.
Like, they had a specific towel or whatever. They would make shit because, pads and tampons weren't really accessible.
Yeah, go hide in shame for a week.
And they didn't tell them anything. Just, it's shameful. Here's how you deal with it, but not really. But you cover it, and then you're all done. But that's it. That's all you ever taught them. And it's not their fault. They weren't taught it,
Well, so I think about when I was a young adult.
Sure.
18, 19-ish. And toxic shock syndrome became, kind of swept the nation.
Okay.
And toxic shock syndrome was something that happened specifically when women on their period didn't change their tampon enough. And so it was causing problems. They were getting infections and whatever.
Which makes sense.
But that tells me that your mother or your doctor or whoever was supposed to tell you didn't give you the right information or didn't know the information.
Exactly.
And I mean, granted, 1980 was a long time ago, but 1980 was far enough. People knew. Yeah. People should have known. Yeah, you don't leave that in all day.
It's still just so shameful, though.
Yeah.
Right?
Right. Well, that's the other thing.
Shame, yeah.
Have you ever heard of or read the book The Red Tent?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, because that's kind of the whole... It's like these women, when they're on their period, they're all sent to this tent where they're kind of exiled from the rest of the group. And it's like, it's a very natural, normal...
And it's been happening forever. Women have had their periods for literal
ever since Eve got thrown out of the garden, whatever.
That's what I'm saying. And I get...
That's why, and that's why they call it the curse.
Yeah, because of Eve.
Because of Eve. And it's because of the nonsense in the Bible, because of all the women shaming and the misogyny in the Bible.
Well, it's great. I love it. I've learned how to treat women from the Bible. Anyway.
Right.
But what's interesting is a lot of groups of people, especially more pre what we consider civilization, right? So tribal groups or different indigenous groups, a lot of the times they had ideology about menstruation and blood. Men weren't allowed to be around women during that time, and or they couldn't touch the menstruation blood or whatever. And part of it makes sense because they didn't have showers and that antibacterial whatever. You know what I mean? So if you decide to have hanky-panky or you got how are you? And it made people sick because they didn't have... They weren't as clean. They didn't have, again, sanitation. And so their thought was then, oh, well, that blood is just wrong and dirty. We can't touch that blood because it's made people sick. And so on one hand, that makes sense. But how do we get through civilization, a quote-unquote civilized people, and still we're oh, shameful, don't touch it, it's dirty, it's wrong. I understand if tribal people or indigenous people back in the day thought, we don't know what this is, and it makes that man sick, whatever it is, then it's probably not great. But nowadays, bitch, and for centuries, how did you think that was bad, and you're just shunning your preteen daughter? You know what I mean? You're shunning your wife for a week at a time every month? That's horrific to me.
It also makes me wonder, though, and this is just one of my weird little wonderings. So... it makes me wonder if when women of certain times, like pre kind of where we are now, where everybody knows kind of what it is and why it is and everything. Sure. If the women, when it came, were like, oh God, I get a week away from my husband.
Oh, what a dream. Yeah, honestly.
I get a whole week where he's not trying to have sex with me.
Honestly,
because it's my duty as his wife and I don't want to because he's no good at it.
Yeah.
And so, but also and then that puts me into the whole idea of women not knowing that they weren't any good at it, that they just thought that that's how sex was, that it was just only good for the guy.
Ugh.
Can you imagine?
No.
I mean, that whole thinking, I remember, so my great-grandmother had 15 children, as you know, and at one point, when asked, it's like, do you not know what causes this? And she said, I do, but God help me, I like sex too much.
Yeah, I love that.
It was like, for a lady of that time period, obviously, that little man was doing something right.
Yeah.
Because, so my great-grandfather was a little man. I mean, he was maybe 5 foot tall.
Walked with crutches, yeah. And he was apparently mean as shit. Yeah.
But apparently good in the bedroom. Because
I guess that's
she
all that
kept
matters.
wanting it back. Yeah. Or she was getting it elsewhere. I'm not sure.
What I do love is when Grandma tells stories, because, that was her favorite person in the whole world. How he, her grandfather was mean and would, hit people with his canes. But wasn't his wife much bigger than him?
Yeah.
Break that little crippled body over her fucking knee is what I would have done.
Right.
Bitch.
But I'm sorry, little man. I'm going to crush your skull.
You don't need those crutches anymore, now do you?
And I will make it look like a farming accident.
Yeah, bitch.
Motherfucker.
You'll go down the fucking outhouse or whatever. We'll shove you down there.
We'll be like, I haven't seen him for days. He probably got drunk and wandered off and fell into a river. Yeah, I don't know.
Bears.
They lived in Montana. Anything could have happened.
Montana before, again, there were cities.
Right. Because they lived on the frontier. They're not that old.
Girl, they lived in a cabin.
They both died in 1957.
They had windows cut out, right? And they just boarded them up. Right. So they kind of lived on the frontier, bitch. Don't fuck with me.
They kind of did. Oh.
Anyway.
So this week is spring break. So I had this phenomenal idea that I would take time off and I'd have T take time off and we could do some extra stuff with the kids.
Yeah.
Because, spring break, they should get to do something fun.
Because they never do anything fun.
No, they never get to do anything. We don't let our kids do anything.
Are the most deprived children.
Right. That's my children. And then yesterday, I don't even know what day it is. What is today? Was it Sunday that she started? I don't know. But Grace was sick as a fucking dog. Woke up with a fever of 103 and just miserable. And I was like, what the hell?
Yeah.
What? And this came out of nowhere. Right. We didn't know anybody else was sick. I don't know where it came from. I don't know where she got it. It wasn't COVID, though. I did test her for COVID. That was fun, too, trying to get those little swabs up
I watched you do it, and she pulled away, and I was like, oh, my God, I'm so glad I'm not a parent.
That was not fun, but not COVID. But it was like, oh, man, so we're going to spend the, and I don't mind spending time at home. I don't mind not going anywhere. And I'm certainly not mad that she's sick, but I was like, what a bummer. It was like the beginning of spring break. Yeah. She's just sick as a dog and can't do anything.
Everybody is home. Everybody.
Yeah,
oh my God. I know. I told you. Gavin and I were like, our poor parents. How do you do it? I couldn't imagine. You're all home at the same time every day for this whole week. Tiring. And Grace is sick? Nor, because I've met her. Yeah. She whines when she's not sick.
I hate to do that, kind of generalizing with stereotyping men and women and how, but most men behave very badly when they're sick. They act like it's the end of the world. They're dying. Yeah, even if it's a little cold. Yeah. Whereas, when I'm sick, I don't get a day off. I don't get to stay in bed. I don't get to go, y'all are on your own. Yeah, get yourselves to school. Whatever. I just, it doesn't happen. That little girl, it's like I have to come force feed her a glass of water.
Here come the airplane.
Yeah, it was like, I
know, 15-year-old.
Just drink some. I don't want to drink any water. Do you want to get better? Yes, I'm so sick of being sick. You've been sick for 10 minutes. Calm down.
I mean, girl, and it's funny.
And I get it. Being sick sucks.
Sucks, girl. We've talked about this before, because the first January that Gab and I were together, I got very, very sick. I skipped the podcast because I was so sick.
You were sick.
Well, and then after that, you and I talked about how I have trouble just catching, basic illness. Like, oh, here, it's just like a common cold. I'll be fine. I'm like dead. Like, I can't breathe. I can't swallow. I can't sleep.
The bubonic plague hasn't been around for centuries, but here you got it.
Annika got it. Yeah. And it's like every time I'm sick and I'm like, the fuck? Like, why do I just die all of a sudden? And it's not even like, again, a cold. Oh, I have a cold. I can't go anywhere. Nah, bitch. Like, literally, I'm more pale than normal. Yeah. My eyes roll back in my head.
You see the chickenpox and the measles
Girl,
and the mumps. And...
Yeah, I know. It's crazy. That immune system of mine, GQ. Anyway.
Yeah, so I don't remember if I told you that I watched the newest, the Ryan Murphy Show Feud.
Oh, you did?
Because the first one was about Betty and Joan and the making of...
Whatever Happened to Baby Jane.
Whatever Happened to Baby Jane. Yes. Where it was just flat in my head, I don't know. And the second season just came out, and it was about Truman Capote.
Right.
And this group of women he called the Swans.
Yeah.
Who were these upper society white women in New York in the 60s and 70s.
Yeah, yeah.
And how he had befriended all of them. They were all... He was their little token gay friend.
Of course.
Who was there for color and at parties because he would tell stories and be entertaining, and they could be all like, this is our entertaining gay friend. Although gay, I don't even think it was a term then.
No.
You know, he's the little fag who we all keep around, whatever.
Sure.
And he then wrote, or started to write a book. He published, I think, 3 chapters of his book in the New Yorker or the Inquirer or something. Who knows? Not the Inquirer. Esquire, not the Inquirer. Inquirer wasn't a thing then. Anyway, but it was all about these women. And he told a whole lot of their very dirty, dirty secrets.
Oh, I love that.
And these are all supposed to be his friends, his confidants, his whatever.
Yeah.
And then he's surprised that they're all like, we will never speak to you again.
Yeah.
Because you told our dirtiest secrets very publicly.
And listen,
I mean, yes, you changed some of the names, but some of them he didn't even change.
That's kooky.
But he changed most of them, but it was like,
it's fine,
you know, so, So, you know, this woman who was called Babe.
Yeah.
In the book, she's called something very similar, and it's like everybody, you know, it's like, and so she's the socialite, and her husband is the head of a network. Everybody knew who he was talking about.
Yeah, okay.
Right?
Yeah.
And so he basically, from that point to his death, was trying to figure out how to get back into their good graces.
Ugh, tiring.
And they were all like, no, man, you burned that bridge.
Yeah, lucky we let you in the first time.
So after I watched the miniseries,
sure,
which was sad and tragic and bizarre, I then was like, now I just need to learn everything I can about Truman Capote, because this is what I do. I then get obsessed.
Yeah, no, I love it. It's your hyperfixation, girl.
It absolutely is. So then I watched this other documentary called the Truman Capote Tapes. And there was another thing, but it was all like, all this different information. The guy was a fucking mess. I mean, one, he was an alcoholic. Mm-hmm. He also was a drug addict.
Okay.
What
was his drug of choice?
His drug of choice was cocaine. He likes the cocaine.
Plentiful at the time.
The booger sugar.
Yep.
I'm like,
yeah.
I heard someone say that the other day. I'm like, ew.
Isn't that gross?
Gross. That's so gross.
Yeah.
But that was his drug of choice.
Gross.
Yeah. But it was all, I mean, it wasn't limited to that. You know, because back in he could get, you know, like painkillers.
You have a drug that's your favorite, but it doesn't mean you're closed off to all other drugs, ma'am.
But it just made me go, what a because he was a good writer.
Yeah.
He wrote really well. He was a great storyteller, but it's like, but he destroyed it all with drugs and alcohol and being an asshole.
Yeah. It's funny because doing that thing, I would, you know, infiltrate a girl who pretend I was their Judy and then write horrible things, but I wouldn't like them. But if he actually liked them, why would you do that?
Well, that's kind of the wondering, did he actually ever like them?
Right.
But then when they discarded him from their group and he was all crushed about it, what did you think was going to happen?
Ma'am.
I'm sorry, all of my people, they're all horrible, horrible people, but they're still my people, so I'm going to go, no.
No.
I'm sorry, but if you tell my most dire secrets that nobody should ever know, you know, it's like, I'm sorry, but we're done. You know, it's just weird.
Yeah, I agree. Sorry, I have to open the window.
Okay, are you going to put the cat out?
Well, she's being very annoying. If she doesn't have food, she has dry food and wet food. If one of her bowls is empty, she will and knocks it off the counter, knocks it into the sink. It's usually her wet food bowl because she eats it on once more. Yesterday she was mad she knocked every bowl off the counter. She fucking shoved it into the sink. Her dry food bowl. There's dry food everywhere. She mad girl. I know,
She's
but whatever.
a bitch.
So yeah, I put her in the window so she can chit-chat to the outside.
Yeah. Well, there you go.
Yeah.
The other, and so, speaking of television.
Yeah, tell me.
Well, and I know we talked about this a little bit. On Friday, last Friday.
Yeah.
I saw my good friend Kimberly, and we were talking about dieting and weight and things, and she was saying that I should watch the Hulu documentary with Oprah talking about the diet drugs that everyone's taking now, like Ozempic and all of that. There's a whole series of them. There's like 4 or 5 injectables that people are taking. They were all initially meant for diabetes, but then it magically found that people were just dropping weight like crazy.
Yeah.
So I watched this, and instead of it making me feel better, it made me feel so much worse, because one of the things they were saying is that doctors have now come to really understand that obesity in itself is a disease. Mm-hmm. There are people who are overweight who do not suffer from the disease of obesity. Yeah. And there are people, who are very overweight, but it's just they're overweight because they're sloven, they're lazy, they're whatever.
All the stereotypes.
Right, all the things, we are this and you're that. But then there's this group of people that their brain is wired differently, so that from the time they wake up to the time they go to bed, they're thinking about food. Yeah. And it's like they're having breakfast but thinking about what they're going to have for lunch or dinner. Or they're going to bed thinking about what I'm going to eat tomorrow when I get up. Yeah. Or they're thinking about, I left those leftovers in the fridge. I hope they're still there tomorrow so I can eat them. It's like that constant kind of... Or not ever feeling full or satiated. Or you can feel full but still be thinking, but I... and it's this constant thing of you fighting your brain. Yeah. And they said for folks who that is their issue, which I am one of those people. Sure. And I always just thought I was a weirdo and there was something deeply wrong with me. They will not ever successfully achieve weight loss and keep it off without medical intervention. And I'm all, that's fucked up.
Love that.
So for people like me, who I have insurance, but my insurance is like, oh no, we won't pay for any kind of bariatric surgery.
Why?
Because you're just fat and you need to stop eating. You need to eat less and exercise more. That's your problem.
Okay.
And if that was my problem, I wouldn't be 62 years old and still be this fat. Yeah. Or these medications, my doctor prescribed Ozempic for me. Said, let's try this. And my insurance said, wow, we'll give you a little break on it. So instead of being $1,000 per month, it'll be $300.
$1,000?
$1,000 for 4 shots.
How often do you take a shot?
Once a week. So $1,000 a month if you don't have insurance. But there are people who have the Oregon Health Plan, which is what people call Obamacare, who can get bariatric surgery, who can get Ozempic, who can get all this stuff. Because it's better, it covers more stuff than my insurance that I actually pay for.
Girl, I'm telling you, that's why I was like, why is everyone should be on OHP? Because literally everything is covered. Like, all trans healthcare, covered. Yeah. Obviously, you can have bariatric surgery. You can have literally anything you want, and it's covered. Like, obviously, to me. It's not, you can't go get, boobies because you want bigger boobies. Like, that's not the case. But a trans woman absolutely could, because they'll cover it, right? But they cover so much. It is insane how much it covers. But, I mean, good for you, I guess.
Whereas my, United Healthcare that I pay hundreds of dollars for a month doesn't cover as much. And then they're like, well, and so your doctor visit is, your part to pay is $80 for a doctor's visit. Well, how much am I paying for a doctor visit? Yeah. I mean, what are they billing the insurance company? But going back to the point, it was like they said, without medical intervention, your body will always want to go back to what they call the set point. Like, basically where you started before you started losing weight. Sure. Which is the most depressing thing I've ever heard. Yeah. Because it's like, so, no matter how much I struggle, no matter how hard I try, without some kind of medical intervention, it will never be successful. That's or completely. I mean, I can lose weight. I lost a shit ton of weight before I had surgery. And then put it all back on.
Do we think, not we, because we're not medical professionals, but are there several reasons people have it? Like, is it like a traumatic experience and your brain Or
that's a good question.
Or are you born and your brain is just hardwired differently? Like, being autistic or having a neurodivergence, like, is it just that from birth? Or is it like, and here's my example, having food insecurity.
Yeah.
Like, growing up not having food, do you then grow up thinking about, what am I going to eat again? Or what am I going to eat next? Even when you are food secure. Even when you are, I will have food, I do have food, I can eat, I'm not starving. Is it... So I wonder if it's just from birth or if it is from having
Well, and that's a good
trauma.
question, and I don't think they really addressed that part of it.
Okay.
But, the person hosting it's Oprah Winfrey.
Yeah.
And she was saying how, she very famously went on a liquid diet and lost, 7,000 pounds.
Yeah.
And became this little lollipop head because she was like a size 4. Well, her head is too big to be on a size 4 body.
Girl.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
As is mine, I would look like a lollipop. It would be bad.
Yeah.
So, but she said as soon as, like, the day that she went on to do that, film that episode where she wheeled on the wagon full of fat to show how much she had lost, because she had lost like 70 pounds, I think.
Jesus, yeah.
She said, but I started gaining the weight back the next day.
Yeah.
And has been on all the diets and has been through all these medical programs. And even, she bought stock in Weight Watchers and went on their board of directors. But then she has left that because she said, well, one, there's a big controversy because she's now lost a ton of weight on Ozempic. And she said that, but when she took the first shot of Ozempic, almost immediately, it shut off that voice in her brain saying, well, what are you going to eat next? Where's the food? What's for... And she said that now she can eat, half a bagel and be fine and be done and go on with her day, and she's not thinking about it all day long.
Yeah.
She's not going, well, I really want to eat everything. I want a piece of cake. I want whatever it is.
Sure.
Or bigger, I think for most people who diet is, well, I want that, but I can't have that. And there's that whole, now I'm deprived. Because Annika's having cake and I want cake, but I can't have cake because cake's bad. And there's all the voices in your head. And I've always wondered if it wasn't trauma response, if it wasn't food insecurity, if it wasn't, being the fat kid who's put on a diet at the age of 6 and everybody else is, eating good food around you and you're eating diet food, right? It's like I remember one year for my birthday, it was sad. Everybody else in my family for their birthday got cake, and I got that year on my birthday got a cup of strawberries and fat-free whipped cream.
Which, delightful, but not for your birthday when you deserve cake. I get that.
Yeah, and that's the other thing, deserve.
Yeah.
Deserve is such a hard thing because, like, everybody on their birthday, has cake. I should have cake on my birthday. But then, of course, I want cake every day, and then it becomes that whole...
Yeah.
So it really fucked me up.
Yeah.
Even more, and I've, by the way, already so fucked up where food is concerned. Because I do think about it all the time.
Yeah. Well, and you and I have had this conversation where we have very different eating habits, very different body types, whatever, but we have there are issues that are the same.
Yeah.
And a lot of my issue with food is we get, a cake, a pie. And my thought is everybody needs to have equal portions. Like, my thing is about equality, is everyone being fed, is about everyone.
Right.
So I wouldn't, like, buy something and eat all of it and Gavin didn't get any. It would torture me more to feel like he missed out.
Right.
Than, you know what I mean? Eating. So that's my one issue. But, like, I do wonder if mine is from food insecurity. Mine is from trauma. Mine's not from having food. But, I do wonder if it is just a trauma. It is a trauma response, but so many things in our life are. You know what I mean?
Right.
So many things that we consider to be normalcy are just from trauma.
Right. It's like when I was taking parenting classes to be a foster parent, and we learned that oftentimes kids who are sexually abused wet the bed. Mm-hmm. And it's their body's response of like, well, if I wet the bed, no one's going to want to touch me.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to be wet and sticky and gross and smelly and,
Yeah.
then they'll leave me alone.
Yeah.
Whether that's true or not, that's your body's kind of response to that. And I was like, oh, dear God, I never knew that. And, I'm going to say here, I was a bedwetter, and it was like, is that why? Because was I sexually abused as a child? Yes. Mm-hmm. But is that a direct response? I don't know.
Potentially.
I don't know. But it was like, it was certainly one of those things that you're made to feel like there's something wrong with you.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
You know?
Yeah. Well, yeah. No, I get that.
But I'm going to jump back to cake for a second. Before we
Yeah,
actually...
let's
Because
talk
we're going to
about
get
cake,
to our topic
bitch.
today.
Yeah, we are.
I promise.
Well, and what's our topic? It's mostly just life lessons, things we've learned, advice.
Yeah.
That's kind of it.
So, I was watching this woman I love to watch on the YouTubes. Her name is Charlotte Dobray. And she often reads the Am I the Asshole Reddits.
Right.
And this was one that really spoke to me because it is a thing that I have a big issue about.
Okay.
And I mean, an issue when it happens because I think it's awful is the shoving cake in people's faces like at their special event.
Fucking hate it.
So the story she told on this day was this man kept saying to his fiance how funny he thought it was, the cake in the face. And she said, do not do that to me at our wedding. And so he would show her videos of like, look how funny this is.
Oh, it's so funny.
And she was like, listen, when I was a teenager, my mother, who always thought the cake in the face was hilarious, shoved my face into my birthday cake, and there was one of the decorations on it, cut my forehead, and then I ended up bleeding on the cake, and ruined my birthday. I went to my room, I wouldn't come out.
I wouldn't
And
either.
my mother said, I was being a brat and a drama queen, and I ruined everything. It's like, well, first of all, she's gaslighting the fuck out of you, because she ruined everything.
Yeah.
But she kept telling him, don't do it. And then she said to him literally, if you do this to me on our wedding, I will leave you. Not I will walk out of the wedding, I will leave you. Because it is that traumatic to me.
Yeah, I hate it.
So on their wedding day, what does he do? He fucking shoves, and she had paid thousands of dollars to get her hair, her makeup, all the things to be perfect for her wedding day.
Yeah.
And he shoves cake in her face, gets it into her hair, ruins her dress, whatever, and she starts crying. And the people are all, I mean, it's like that episode, it's that scene in Carrie, they're all laughing at you. Well, and people are laughing. Her friends are not laughing because they know, but her family's laughing. Her mother's yucking it up big time.
Oh, I'm pissed.
And so she leaves. She leaves.
Yeah.
She calls an Uber, gets in an Uber, and leaves. And everybody's like, "Don't go, don't go." And she's all, bye.
Eat shit and live, dumb bitch. How dare you?
And so she leaves. She, is devastated.
Yeah.
Goes to a friend's house and is like, I'm done. I'm not coming back.
Yeah.
And the guy, instead of saying, I'm so sorry that I ruined her, he's like, well, I'm so sorry that you're such a baby that you, that you like are so dramatic and whatever. Her family's texting her going, you ruined this day, blah, blah, blah. And she's all, I fucking told him not to do it. He was like, don't gaslight me.
I openly said to him directly with plain fucking words, and he did it anyway. So, actions, consequences, bitches.
Well, and, that takes us to kind of what we're going to talk is, like, having boundaries.
Yeah.
And if you set a very clear boundary, please don't do this to me because here's how I feel about it and here's my history with it, blah, blah, blah. It couldn't be any clearer. It's not like you can say, well, I didn't know. I thought it would be funny. I didn't know.
Yeah.
Of course you knew. You knew very good and well.
Yeah.
And it then sent me on this whole rabbit hole of reading things about people and cakes and trauma and whatever.
Yeah. Cake trauma!
One that I'm going to share with you because I just thought it was very funny.
Okay.
Was this husband and wife. The wife hates the husband's family because they treat her poorly.
Okay.
So she's like, I'm not going to any more of your family stuff. They always treat me badly.
Fuck them.
And on his birthday, she made him a cake and got him presents and whatever. And he's like, well, I'm going to go celebrate with my family because they're going to throw me an awesome party.
Bye.
And, bye. And he was like, whatever, didn't even care that she had a cake. It's like, all right. And so he's like, well, when I get home, I'll have a piece of your cake too. While he was gone, she ate his entire fucking cake.
Yeah!
Now, I think I would have been sick as a dog, but I
Sure.
probably would have still done it.
Yeah.
And then he's mad at her
for eating
because she ruined everything.
I hate people.
And it's like,
girl,
wait a minute. You left me sitting here all alone on your birthday, which whatever.
Yeah.
You could have just said, well, we're going to do both. I'll split the time. I'll be a little time there and then more time here, and we'll all be good because I get that you don't want to be there. But for him to spend the entire and shut off his phone, so she can't even talk to him. And she was like, "Fuck you! I'm gonna eat your cake." So she went and sat in the living room, watched TV, ate his cake. I'm guessing it wasn't a full sheet cake.
Sure. Yeah,
but I was all good for you, girl.
Yeah, Mary. I think that's very funny. I also think if you're this ties into to what we're going to talk about, but if you're in a relationship with somebody and their family treats you poorly and they do nothing about it, you should leave them.
Yes.
100%. I don't think that you should go to your in-laws' house or whoever and they get to treat you like shit, and your husband, partner, wife, whatever is all, well, they're my family. No, fuck your family. If they're going to treat your partner like that, you need to either do better or be single.
Right. Yeah. Well, and so that takes me back to the cake in the face woman. She actually did end up annulling the marriage, because after she put it on the Reddit of like, am I the asshole? Mm-hmm. Then everyone was like, not only are you not the asshole, but this guy's gaslighting you.
Yeah, he's a piece of shit.
The fact that he's telling you you're the problem because you made a drama out of it. Yeah, he's totally get away from him. Yep. He's not a good guy. Yep. And if he didn't respect your boundaries, then he's never going to.
Not ever.
It's always going to be your fault.
Yeah.
Get away.
Yep. Well, and one of the things that we want to talk about, we were reading this the other day when we went to Costco with Grace, and it was the harsh truths you realize before it's too late, right?
Yes.
And so one of them is you should either have a supportive partner or no partner. There is no third option. And I wish I would have learned that sooner. Do you know what I mean? I am grateful that I have Gavin. I'm grateful for our relationship and things are so great. But more often than not, I was hitched to a motherfucker who was not a supportive person, you know?
Yes, and to be clear, what she is saying, that Gavin is very supportive.
Very
wonderful. And his family loves you.
Yeah.
And it is unlike any relationship you've ever had.
Yeah.
Because his family does love you, and he loves you, and he would do anything for you.
Honestly.
I mean, judging by the fact that when you first got together, as you were mentioning, you were so sick last year, y'all had been together for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And he took care of you.
Less than 2 months, girl.
Better than a nurse. He did everything for you and didn't go, oh, this is too much. Mm-hmm. You know what? I like you and all, but you gotta go.
Get out.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I completely agree with that. If you...
say again?
You should either have a supportive partner or no partner. There is no third option. And that's important because your partner will check you if you're being crazy, you know? But I think that if you want to do something, if you're feeling down, if you're feeling like whatever you're feeling, but that should go both ways. You need to be able to support each other. And we've talked about before, percentages. Sometimes you don't feel like you have it, and that's fine. But you don't get to have a partner. You should not have a partner, and you should never be the partner who doesn't give a shit or doesn't support the person you're with. Then why do it? For comfortability, to be with somebody because you need to be with somebody? It's dumb.
Well, and, going back to the in-law thing, so I've never had a partner, spouse, whatever, whose family liked me. For whatever reason. I mean, I know I'm a lot.
You're horrible.
I am horrible, and I know I'm a lot, and I'm loud, and I'm whatever, I get that, but that's me.
Yeah.
And a lot of people do like me just exactly how I am.
100%, yeah.
But with my first husband, I was always subjected to his family, and he didn't care.
A book and a hook, girl.
A book and a hook. He didn't care that they didn't like me. He didn't care that when we went to his family, they wouldn't even let me sleep in the house. They're like, you get to sleep in the trailer in the driveway.
That's so weird.
Because we weren't legally married.
Girl, the fuck?
So I'm sleeping in the driveway, and they live right next to the fucking wild animal thing in, where is it?
Roseburg?
Roseburg.
Yeah.
And so I could literally hear lions growling while I'm sleeping, or trying to sleep, and I'm like,
yeah, I love it.
So I have to sleep in the driveway while you're sleeping in the house and in your nice comfy bed, or you're sitting in front of a mountain of presents while I get and you don't say a word about it, and you never say to your parents, yeah, this isn't okay.
You get a 2-year-old like fucking women's magazine and a fishing hook or something.
But it's like at any point you could have said, hey, this, if you can't treat her properly, then we're not going to come.
Yeah.
Or, I'll come on some other weekend that's not Christmas or not whatever, a holiday, by myself.
Yep.
And
100%. I get it.
But I was also young and dumb enough that I put up with it. I complained about it the whole time.
Sure, yeah.
And bitched to anybody who listened.
Yeah.
But I still did it. I still put up with it. And then...
And for years, girl.
Yeah.
8
years.
Ugh.
8 years.
That's
so
so
what's
long.
funny about that is the very last holiday that I spent with them, I knew was the last holiday. I was the only one who knew. Because I was planning my, escape.
Yeah.
But I was all, I don't ever have to see these motherfuckers again. And because I did not like them at all. Of course, why would I? They treated me very poorly.
Yeah.
But I was just all, this is it. This is deuces. But I had also said to him, this particular one, I was like, we either both get to sleep in the house, in a bed, in a whatever together, or I am going to go to a hotel.
Yeah.
And he was like, well, you can't do that. Of course I can.
Bitch, eat shit. Yes, I can.
Of course I can. And now, of course, now that I'm older and have more means, I think I would walk away from just about anything. I would walk away from your bad party, from whatever it was. If people were being rude and disrespecting me, I'd be like,
girl.
One, I don't have to stay.
No.
Two, I have other means. I can, if I don't have a car, because you're the only one with the car, I can get an Uber.
Yeah, man.
And go home.
You know enough people to, like, that's the thing, right? It's like you always have other options, and I think, like, as a young stupid person, I think that you feel as if, oh my god, but this is my relationship. Like, we put so much sanctity in that, right? If your relationship isn't working, then you shouldn't stay in it, right? It's just fucking you up.
You should not.
Yeah, 100%. This one I think is really interesting, because I think we know a lot of people who can't do this. If someone can't tell you their flaws, they have a dangerous lack of self-awareness, and 100% agree, girl.
Oh, yeah.
You need to be able to identify the things about you that are problematic. And I'll tell you something about myself.
Because I'm like trying to rack my brains for anything problematic about me.
I have too much self-awareness, right? So I am aware of where I am and who's around me and whatever. But I'm also aware of like how I'm feeling, and when I'm not feeling good, I'm aware of that I'm not feeling good, and I try to figure it out. But most of the time that just turns into me being like, my brain doesn't work and melts out my ears or whatever. But so I have too much of it. But if people don't have any of it, if people can't even tell you, oh, well, sometimes I am impulsive, or I get angry too quickly, or X, Y, and Z, pick a fucking thing. But if they can't tell you any of that, that is dangerous.
Well, sure. Because if you have that lack of self-awareness, then you are just going through life, I think, Godzilla, stomping on the city and not noticing. It's like, I just walked through here. If you're, wreaking havoc and completely unaware of it, that's as bad.
Girl.
That's dangerous.
Yeah.
And
I get that. This one I think I've learned more as I get older. The best revenge is getting yourself to a place where you no longer care about revenge.
Oh.
Because I used to, I don't know. I'm a bitch, and so I'm
glad I was sitting for that.
So I get pissy, and I am hateful a lot of the time, especially towards people I don't like. But after the older I get, the more I'm just like, that simmers out so quickly, and I just don't fucking care. And I learned from Willem Belli, indifference is worse than hate. So I just don't care. I don't care about you. And that's...
it's funny to me that I was probably 40 when I really realized that indifference was worse than anything. Because it was like... But it also... Because it's neutral. I feel nothing. And I'm going to use a specific example is when I found out my father died.
Oh, yeah.
I wasn't mad. I wasn't sad. I wasn't anything.
Yeah.
I literally was indifferent because I had tried from the time I was 14 to have a relate. Because I met him at 14, and which y'all know because you've heard me talk about it before. If you don't know, I was 14 years old when I finally met him for the first time. And I then, from that point forward, tried very hard to have a relationship with him. But he was not the guy to have a relationship with. Nobody in his life had a satisfactory relationship with him. And my sister Linda once said to me, because I asked her how she continued to have a relationship with him until his death, and she said, I had to have no expectations of him. And for me, that is literally impossible. I can't have no expectations of you. I mean, even if my expectation is that you're going to just show up. Or that you're going to listen when I talk to you. Or that you're going to care about what happens to me. Or whatever. Or that just...
But the first thing...
That you're an active part in the... whatever. But to have no expectations, I didn't understand that. And she's obviously a way better person than I am. But I was all... So I was completely indifferent. And I realized kind of the power of indifference.
Girl.
Which was... I am not sick about... this emotion or that slight or this whatever, and so I don't care about revenge.
It's liberating.
It is so liberating. It is absolutely liberating to just go,
Oh, I don't care.
I don't feel one way or the other about it.
Yeah, I don't give a shit.
I'm sorry. You can be your horrible person. I don't care. It isn't affecting my life.
Sometimes.
If you're then affecting my life, my children, my house, my whatever.
Yeah,
I'm going to care about it, and I'm going to take care of it.
Yeah.
But if it's something like that, where it's like, I felt the need for revenge prior, it's like, nah.
Well, and sometimes I feel this way about specific people in our family, some of my cousins and siblings, where, and it hasn't happened in a long time, but the way that they want to speak to me about how, like, I'm selfish, or I'm stuck up, or I'm too good for everyone, or I left the family and I ruined whatever.
You ruined Christmas.
Yeah, and so the last time this happened with a cousin was at the house, like at your house, and we're having dinner, and she was just a cunt to me the whole time. And I remember thinking, like, I don't even think about you. You know what I mean? Like, I don't even care. Like, you are so hung up on this when you should be focusing on other things. You're so hung up on it, and I don't give a shit. You know?
Well, and I think for me,
yeah,
that's kind of the funny part of it is you're so obsessed with what you think I did or didn't do, and I don't even think about you.
I don't care. Yeah.
The other part of me, that the whole passive-aggressive telling you basically how awful you are, but all in the guise of a joke. Oh my God, you're so awful. Yeah. You know, it's like, okay. Yeah. I'm awful because I have boundaries. I'm awful because I will no longer allow people to treat me like shit. It's funny to me because her mother, I remember her saying to me, so at the age of 16, I kind of went off the rails. I had been this
boozing,
kid,
drugging, pregnant,
gotcha. All the things. I was this kid who was like absolutely tortured from young childhood through. Yeah. I was bullied every day, whatever. And one day, I just kind of snapped, and I was like, fuck all of these people. I hate everyone. I don't need anyone. You know, if you're going to be shit to me, I'm going to be shit to you. I don't care. Yeah. I'm no longer going to be Miss Nice Guy. I'm no longer going to make myself sick worrying about what people think about me. And so I became very like I had gone completely the other end of the spectrum. Mm-hmm. I'm all, you're going to say some shit to me? I don't care. Fuck you.
Cool. Who are you?
But I was all like, fuck you. I don't care. Fuck off. And my sister said to me, she was like, I don't understand why you're such a bitch. I go, have you been present for the rest of my life?
Yeah, bitch, are you...
Where I was a fucking doormat and everybody walked on me and treated me like garbage. I finally have a spine and now I'm bad.
I know, you're the bad... And that's how it is, though, girl. You stand up for yourself after you've been the punching bag forever and everyone thinks you're the bad guy.
It's like, how dare you
weird to me. It is so weird to me. It's because people... I feel like, specifically, like, what you're saying is, like, they have been able to manipulate you and treat you so poorly and, you know what I mean, dehumanize you in so many ways that when you are like, fuck that, I'm a person, I don't care what you think, they're like, oh my God, you're so mean. That's, like, white people sensitivity to me.
Absolutely.
That's, like, white people being like, oh my God, other people's lives, they're living them, I hate it. Like, shut the fuck up. And if you think I'm mean, then don't talk to me. Like, that's where I'm at, you know? Yeah. I wouldn't, it doesn't bother me at all. There was something I was going to say that. Who remembers? Oh, we said this the other day too when I was talking to you. I said, if we don't accept their advice, then we don't accept their criticism. You know what I mean? Yeah. So like that. Why would we? If I'm not going to accept your life advice, anyone in my family, your siblings, like I would never accept anything you have to say because I don't care. One,
right,
and two, you're not the type of person to be giving me advice on my life. So if you want to critique me for being stuck up or being a bitch or being too good or leaving, that I don't care about that either. Do you know what I mean? So your advice, your critique means nothing to me at all.
Well, I would have to hold you in some like position of respect.
Yeah.
For that to be a thing.
Yeah.
If you said to me, you know, girl, you were kind of a cunt. Person, and that was not it. I would be like, oh shit.
Oh damn, I crossed the line.
If you're telling me I'm being a cunt, it's like,
oh girl.
I really have fucked up. Or you didn't handle that, I think, the best way or whatever.
Yeah.
I would absolutely 100% hold space for that because I'd be like, oh shit.
Yeah.
I really... But if somebody I don't give a shit about and somebody who I think their life is garbage, if they're coming at me saying you're the... I don't care.
Okay. One of these things, the next one, number 4, says, just because a relationship has lasted a long time doesn't mean it's working. And I take that...
100%.
I take that not just for romantic, intimate partnerships.
No,
any relationship. Your siblings, your parents, your family, your friends, whatever. It doesn't matter. If just because you've known them doesn't mean it's a healthy relationship.
No. No, I've had friend relationships that were absolutely one-sided. Mm-hmm. I've had... my first marriage lasted 8 years, and there was nothing good about it. Mm-hmm. I'm just going to say, it's not that he was a bad person. He was not the person for me.
Yeah.
Simple.
Sure. Yeah, totally.
Whatever. But I had a friend who was so narcissistic that literally would start every conversation, with like, oh, hey, how are you? You're good? Good. Okay, so listen, about me.
Oh, I know who you're talking about.
And, and it was like, wait, I didn't even... Maybe I'm not good.
God rest her soul.
I know, maybe I'm not good. Maybe I'm having a rough day. But you don't care.
At all.
And that relationship went on far too long.
Girl.
And my relationship with Rhiannon went on far too long. So different friends who would like... and now, as at this place in my life, I'm not sure why I let it go on so long.
Yeah,
I'm not sure. And with some of them, I really couldn't see how negative they were until I was outside of them, and going, the black cloud has lifted. Oh my God!
Yep.
This relationship was very unhealthy. It was very toxic.
Yeah, girl. Well, and I 100% agree. I mean, from a very young age, I left small town Carleton at on my 17th birthday.
Yeah.
Left, right? I never looked back. And most of the people that we're related to, I didn't see them for years, right? And I felt no way about it. I didn't care. I wasn't bent out of shape because I felt like, and that's not everyone, but like my sisters or the cousins that I was close with, like, when I would come home from California to visit, do you think they would come to see me? They would expect me to go to them. Right. And I'm always like, the fuck, though, is your problem? And so my point is like, I left that environment at such a young age and was like, all done, don't need it. I think what was helpful for me was having two biological parents, though. That really showed me that no matter how hard you try, they're not going to give a fuck. Right. You know what I mean? So it was easier for me to just snip, cut people off. And it's to this day, it's pretty fucking easy for me to be like, toodaloo, motherfucker. You know?
For me, specifically with my family, it took them treating my husband badly for me to finally go, they're just shitheads.
Yeah.
Because it literally came down to, we always went out to Carleton for Christmas and whatever, right? And this one Christmas, I was like, well, I want to host it at my house in Portland. Why should I always be the one that drives an hour to go to your thing? And so I'm like, I'm going to host it at my house. And I was just newly married. And many people in the family didn't approve because my husband's so much younger than I am. And it's like, why do you care?
Yeah,
why do you even fucking care?
You're pressed about nothing.
Because he's a great guy. He's super nice. He's very friendly to everyone. He's as great to all of you. Why are you being an assholes? So they came to my house, and literally none of them spoke one word to him in his house. Didn't even speak to him for whatever. I was like, my family's a pack of douchebags.
Bye.
So... that was what made me go, I really want nothing to do with any of you anymore. No. I mean, I've put up with you treating me like garbage for years.
Sure.
You all treated me poorly all growing up. And then, now that you've brought it into my home, I'm done.
Well, and isn't that how it is, though? Someone can treat you like shit forever and ever and ever and ever. Yeah. And the moment you see them treat someone you care about like shit, you're all, I'm about to kill a bitch.
Yeah.
I get that 100%. This one says, self-love comes from self-control. You'll never respect yourself if you're a slave to people-pleasing. I agree. I don't really have much to add to that. It's true. I don't think that people-pleasing for the sake of people-pleasing is healthy. No. I think being kind and being, like, a nice person, and nice, I don't even like that word, but, like, a kind human being, that's different than trying to be like, I'll do everything you want.
I would never go out of my way to hurt someone.
No.
But I also will not go out of my way to appease someone if there's not some it's like, I'm not going to go against my own beliefs, my own feelings, my own whatever, just to try and make you feel better about whatever is going on with you. I will, if you're a true friend and you're going through some struggle, I'll be there for you.
Of course.
But I'm not going to be like, oh yeah, everything you say is right, and you're no, but I will be there to hold your hand.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
100%. Okay, if you always think happiness is someone or somewhere else, it will never be where you are. And I 100% agree.
Yeah. That one I think is a tricky one.
Agreed.
Because if you are if you're truly happy in your life or then that doesn't mean you don't have rough times.
Sure.
That doesn't mean, you're not sad when somebody leaves. You're not sad when somebody dies. You're not, it's like, whatever it is, you can be sad, but your happiness is generated from you.
Yeah. One thing about happiness for me is I think we need to really, culturally, we need to change our shift our thinking about what happiness is. Because people are like, well, I've never been happy, and I'm never going to be happy, or how do I get to happiness isn't a constant. Happiness will never be a constant. And without those times of you feeling broke or, in a bad relationship or homeless or whatever it is, out of work, struggling, you won't know happiness. If you don't know those moments of shit, of sadness, of despair, you will never know it. Right. And so happiness isn't a constant. It's not. It's the journey, not the destination.
Well, and it's also not this constant state of euphoria.
No.
That's not even real.
No, and so for me, because we've talked about this a lot, my mental health has been real shaky as of recent, and there's no reason for it. Everything is fine. This is the best my life has ever been. So why is my mental health shaky? But for me, it was like, I'm contented. I'm completely content. There's nothing that I have to complain about except the state of the world. That is it.
Sure.
In my bubble, this is, again, the best, financially I've ever been. The best, I don't really have debt. I have 2 degrees. I'm about to go back to school. I have a man. I have a family. I have all of this stuff, and it's so perfect for me. So why do I feel so shaky with my mental health? Who knows? But we're working that out. But for me, it wasn't about being happy because I've been such a chronically depressed person my entire life. The thought of reaching happiness seemed futile. How was I ever going to get there? I feel depressed 9 times out of 10 for existing, So how was I ever going to get to happiness? So you have to change the way you think about what happiness is.
Absolutely.
It's not a permanent place to live. It's a part of life. And so taking that away and being like, we don't live in Disneyland, bitch. That may be the happiest place on earth, but if I got to wake up every day and be in Disneyland, sure. But also, you would still find fault.
But even in that, it makes me think of the show, The Good Place. Yeah. It's like once they all get to heaven and they're there eternally, it's like, then what?
Yep.
So one of the things they say is being on vacation is great because it's going to come to an end. So you have this really exciting time. Because if it lasted forever, it would not be that. It would not be the euphoria or the excitement or the whatever that a vacation can be.
Yeah. And out of the, talking about going to the good place, the older I get, the more, and I've told you this, I just want to, go into, the abyss of darkness. I don't want to think anymore. I don't want to feel anymore. I don't want to, witness horrors anymore. I don't want to do that. I would much rather just no longer be. You know what I mean? And not in I hate my life. But after this, bitch, yes. I would much rather just dissolve into the ocean of the ether or whatever the fuck it is. I don't... Right. The thought of being up in cloudy fucking heaven looking down on everyone. No. I'm sorry. If there are motherfuckers looking down on us, oh my god.
On us?
Nope, not that, you dirty bitch. If there are motherfuckers looking down upon us...
There we go.
How are they not shaken? How is the quote-unquote God looking down being seems right?
That's all right.
You know what I mean? So no, I don't want any part of that. I don't want part of that. I don't believe in hell, so I don't want any part of that. Just let me go to the abyss. Let me just drift away.
The Buddhist notion of what happens, which is the wave returns to the sea.
Hey, girl.
You become part of this bigger thing, and it's always how it was meant to be. You're there, and then you are, obviously different.
Yeah.
But then you become part of the bigger thing, but not I'm sitting up somewhere on this gold streets.
Oh, hey.
Looking,
yeah.
Oh, yeah. No.
I don't really want that. That was the list. So I think those were decent pieces of advice.
Those are all solid pieces of advice.
Some things that we've talked about recently, and I think this one has been kind of changing for me because, again, being very depressed for most of my life. I said it to you the other day that it's okay to look at the dark, but don't stare at it. You know what I mean? Because the moment when you stare at the dark, everything becomes coated in darkness. Do you know what I mean? It's hard for you to then shift it from night mode to day again. And so, and you know, look at my house. I love creepy, I love death, I love the skulls, I love the cycle of life, I love witchcraft. I love all the darky things. I'm a goth bitch at heart. But for when it comes to like how I feel or, you know, my emotional state, I can't stare at darkness for an extended period of time, because then it's like reading too many Stephen King novels at one time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? My brain turns to just sad mess, and I don't...
Well, and it's like, if you think about, and obviously that's metaphorically, but if you think about even literally, if you are too focused on, like if you're in a dark room, and you're just like not closing your eye, not trying to sleep, whatever, but staring into the darkness, you're going to start to see, hear, and experience things that aren't maybe even there.
Yup.
And that is when it really fucks with you.
Yeah.
So, you can be like, oh, yep, this is the darkness, and then move on.
Yeah.
You know, and we all, I think, have that. And obviously, we all have dark places in our life.
Our shadow self.
But even if you think about those dark corners of our life where we go, well, you know, that thing is still over there, and it can stay over there. That's fine. I know it's there. Yeah. I can look at it if I need to. I can remind myself, this dark thing happened, and that's kind of part of what made me who I am today.
Yeah.
But if you go move into that dark corner... then, you know...
You ain't never getting out. No, it's going to eat you alive. Yeah.
You know, that's when you're basically giving up and just going, well, all is lost, all is misery.
Yeah. Agreed. Another, and these are just fun things that I've kept so far. Fun. They're fun. I said this the other day, and I, again, learned this over time, and more recently now. But sometimes your boundaries have to be stronger than your empathy.
All right, I want you to explain what you mean by that.
Okay, so for me personally, I am like hyper empathetic.
Same.
I feel too much. I feel all the time. I, you know, think, well, this person was shitty to me, and then I think about like, oh, you know, how shitty is their life, and then I feel bad for them. Like, I have debilitating empathy where like it's hard for me sometimes to be like, you are a fucking bitch to me, and I don't want to talk to you anymore because I have too much empathy. I'm like, well, what's happening with her?
Right.
You know, what's her mental health like?
What's caused her to be this way?
And so from recently, as you know, I took the next step in my relationship with my bio mom, and that's essentially just not to have one, because it's cyclical and it's not healthy for either of us, and it's just I'm refusing to play my part, which is usually just like, what are you doing, you know? But it's too much hate directed towards me for no reason.
Right.
And so, yes, I have set boundaries with my biological mom more than once, and they change more and they get more and more strict, right? Well, now I was like, bitch, you lost your mind. Wrong Christmas. I'm over it. So I took some time, I processed it, and I wrote a letter, and I haven't sent it yet, but I just need to print it. But mostly it was not only putting boundaries, being like, here is my line, here's my hard line, don't cross it, don't pass it, and she did, but also setting boundaries for myself, right? I have this big, all-encompassing empathy that makes me want to die sometimes because it makes me feel too much, so I have to put a boundary between myself and my empathy. So it's internalizing boundaries as well, being like, I understand how you feel, Annika, this is me talking to me. I understand how you feel about this, and sometimes maybe it's not the most like logical why you feel this way, but you can't let the fact that you just have crippling empathy, you can't let that stop you from doing what you need to do and get out of this abusive relationship.
Right.
And so for me, it's not only boundary for you, but it's also boundaries for me. And I think people always talk about boundaries and like, oh, well, I'm going to do this so other people don't cross my boundaries. But people need to realize that you need to internalize that too, because we also need boundaries as people.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So, I learning that it's okay to have boundaries, and just because you feel something about it doesn't mean that those boundaries have to crumble. You know, and
I think that, you know, with you specifically, this particular thing, saying my boundary now is, because it's been crossed so many times, is that we're done.
Yeah,
100%. This is not negotiable.
Mm-hmm.
This is me saying no more, because obviously putting boundaries in place for all these years did nothing.
Mm-mm.
And it became time to just go, and we're done.
All done.
100% over.
Yep.
Don't contact me. Don't, whatever.
Yeah.
Just we're done. And that in itself is very hard.
Yeah.
Because it's like, well, probably the thing that I'm saying is hurting this other person. And I get that, but at some point you have to be like, but I gave you 100 chances.
Girl. Yeah.
And you blew every one of them.
100%.
And it's like, as soon as it was no longer easy for the other person, and they, were like, well, but no, we're done.
Yeah, all done.
We're done. And I don't need it, and I don't want it.
That's it.
And, because I am 50% of this relationship, I can cancel it.
Yep.
And I remember, which I'm going to say this, and then we got to get out of here.
Oh, we're done?
Yeah.
Sure.
I remember when I broke up with my ex-boyfriend, and he was like, well, I don't accept that. What?
Okay.
Well, if I'm not going to be in the relationship, there can't be one.
Your imaginary friend.
You can say I won't accept the blame for it. That's fine.
Yeah.
I won't accept my portion of it. That's fine. I don't care. But you can't say I don't accept that we're no longer in a relationship because if I'm unwilling to be in it, it's over. No matter what you say.
Seriously, for fucking real.
And so, yeah, I mean,
that's so funny, yeah.
Yeah. So for this, you just saying, and I'm done.
Yeah.
And this is not me threatening you. This is not me trying to make you feel any kind of way. This is just me telling you that my boundaries have become crossed and recrossed so many times that I know that boundaries are not something that work with you. So
done.
We're done.
Yep, exactly. I know. So that's been a process, but it was just time. But yeah, I get it. I just the idea of boundaries, it's a good thing to have. I just put them for yourself as well. If you know what you struggle with, put some boundaries up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Anyway, bye.
Yeah. So that brings us to the end of... I'm so glad we actually got to our topic today.
Yeah, of course, me too.
Later, when we go out, I'm going to get a cake and smash it in your face.
I can't wait.
Because I love that.
We'll never talk again.
Right.
On our relationship. That'll be it.
Our relationship will be over a cake.
Yeah.
But trust, Petty, I would be like, I'm never speaking to you again. Yeah, You know how I felt.
I'm
Fuck
sorry.
off.
I'll be there at your funeral, and that's it. Yeah.
No, I won't.
No,
I won't.
Now.
Maybe to dump a cake on top of
hey,
your...
bitch!
Lift up the little cake in your
Open
face
casket.
And be like, ouch!
Yep.
Bitch out! And speaking of bitch out, we're going to go now. But like, share, subscribe, download a podcasting app, however you're getting it. And feel free to send us comments and questions and whatever and tell us how you're loving the pod or how you're wanting to hear something different or how you hate Annika because she's the worst. Any of these things are fine. We will accept it. We will read them on air and we will probably mock you.
Probably.
But we're here. Our podcast comes out every Wednesday.
It sure does.
So we will be hearing... You'll be hearing us. We won't be hearing from you, obviously, unless you write to us at it would seem as though at gmail.com.
Yes.
And on that note, I got things to do, man.
Barely. Bye, bitch!
Bye!
It would seem as though...